I faked being obsessed with school for years just to escape an arranged marriage. I seriously have 4 degrees, but not because I'm some genius. I just kept studying to avoid my family forcing me into a marriage I didn't want. Whenever they mentioned it, I'd say, "Hey, I got accepted into a new program." And that would delay things. Now that I've graduated, they're telling me to come home. Honestly, I'm scared. So I'm applying to school like Harvard and Columbia. Not because I really want to go, but just to have a reason to stay away. I'm tired. I don't even know what I want to study anymore. I just know if I stop moving, they'll trap me. I'm far from home and honestly feel better here, away from all the pressure. I love my family and appreciate their support, but they want me to marry who they choose, not who I want. Sometimes it feels like I'm living 2 lives, one where I'm free and one where I'm stuck trying to meet their expectations. Anyone else feel like they're living a double life just to stay free? With all those degrees, why don't you apply for jobs and focus on having a career rather than an arranged marriage? Also, since you're an international student, apply to jobs in different countries, except your own. Of course, if you are worried that your family will drag you back home to force you to get married, then don't tell them where you end up country and career. Instead, let them think that you are still studying, while you give yourself time to get settled into your new life. At some point, staying in school forever isn't sustainable. If they've got that many degrees, they're clearly capable. Time to start building a life on their own terms. Honestly, keeping the family in the dark at least for a while might be the only way to buy enough time to settle and get some distance. Not ideal, but definitely better than getting forced into something for life. It seems like your best chance of avoiding an arranged marriage is to get a job so you can be financially independent. It breaks my heart when I read about women made to go into arranged marriages, where they can't use their education and just end up being a domestic servant for the rest of their lives. It's so horrible. Please don't let that happen to you. Tell your parents whatever you have to tell them to avoid going home, and find a job and start making your own money so you can decide your own future. If they actually love you, they will want you to be happy and will respect your choice. If they don't do that, then they just see you as a possession. First, get a job and earn your own money so you're not dependent on your family. Second, you need to have a conversation with your parents and tell them no to the arranged marriage. Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, there will be drama. Yes, you are going to disappoint them. And yes, they will be upset with you. But it's not the end of the world, as much as they will pretend it is. When parents get angry, it's because they cannot control you anymore. But how much is your freedom worth to you? Stand up for yourself. We cannot live our lives pleasing others. Staying in school is a good idea. Another idea is apply for jobs, one that will sponsor you, and start working. Once you have a sponsorship and a job, start the process to get your citizenship. It is easier for highly educated people like yourself to be approved for citizenship. If you get a good job, your family may be inclined to support your staying, as jobs may not be as good in your home country. But whatever you do not go back to visit. You've mentioned a few times in comments you are scared you won't have your parents' full support. I ask you, do you really have it now? I don't think so. If you did, you wouldn't be churning through courses the way you are. My only advice is making yourself your #1 priority. The only way you will have their full support is basically through a forced marriage. Is this the life you truly want? Yes, I went to med school to escape an arranged marriage, possibly to a cousin. There were other stronger reasons to go to med school, but the fact that this was one is messed up. At 17, I didn't know what I wanted. I was told I wanted to be a doctor since I was a kid. Maybe I did. I wanted it, but not as bad as people wanted to do the medicine. I didn't know what else to do, but I had to do something because the girls in the family who stopped studying or didn't have proper career goals were married off, arranged to first, second, or third cousins, as young as 17. Yes, a minor layers and layers of messed up. Get a job in a location elsewhere and do not say a word on your whereabouts. Cut off communication and get a new phone before you leave. Go to the police station of the area you live at and tell them you are not in distress in case they try to call the cops to make you a missing person. If they found you via police in the town you live at, they'll retrieve you via relative. Also use your job connections to ask HR to never under any circumstances reveal your location. Mention that you're in danger from your own family and you have cut contact, so they'll take steps to prevent a leak of your information. Also, go dark on social media. Log out of all known social media accounts and delete the apps to prevent temptation. Also, to reduce tracing your locations. Do not talk to any relatives, even if they seem on your side. Look into the Tahiri Justice Center to see if they can help you. Info. By far away, how far do you mean? Are you in another country that recognizes forced marriages as a reason for asylum? If so, that would be my first suggestion. Otherwise, I would In addition to applying to schools for other programs or degrees, suggest you should start applying for jobs in other countries that will sponsor your visa. As an adult, they shouldn't be able to physically force you to return home. Move to Europe or North America, anywhere far beyond their reach. Good luck. No one should ever be forced into a marriage. To everyone telling me to get a job and be independent, I do have some money saved now, but after that, I don't know how to handle things. The only thing I know how to do is study, because that's all I've ever done. I've never done simple things like cooking or washing my clothes. I grew up like this, and honestly, real life feels much harder than people think. Sometimes I feel stupid, and like I might get lost without help. Also, I don't know how to talk to guys. Even if I met the guy of my dreams, I wouldn't know how to talk to him. When a guy talks to me, I get really nervous and can't even look him in the eyes. Sometimes, I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't know why I'm crying while writing this now. Maybe it's the first time in my life I'm admitting and sharing this with someone. What you did to protect your autonomy using education as a shield was strategy. Survival. A lot of people don't realize how heavy it is to carry love for your family and fear of losing yourself around them. You're not alone in this double life. So many of us have had to perform a version of ourselves just to buy time, space, or freedom. You deserve to live a life where you're not just escaping, but choosing. And even if you don't know what comes next, you've already proven how powerful your will is. You're in motion, and that matters more than having all the answers right now. You are allowed to want your own life. OP, you are clearly avoiding the uncomfortable questions and not taking serious some of the really good advice you are getting from Redditors who take their time to answer you. I suspect this post is either fake or just karma farming. I really appreciate everyone who took the time to give me advice. Many of comments have actually helped and encouraged me. But what upsets me is when some people act like this situation is easy and say things like, "You just don't want to change." Also, I'm new to Reddit. I honestly don't even know what karma is or what it's for, and I don't care about it. You live in a place where families don't have this kind of control. Where I'm from, it's very normal for families to control their daughter's life and make decisions for her. With 4 degrees under your belt, I'm certain you won't need a husband's paycheck to live without your family. I'm sorry you feel you're living a double life, but I'm in awe of you. What's stopping you from living life on your own terms and marrying who you want if when it's right for you? I know cutting ties with family is painful, but if they cut you off for not entering their arranged marriage, this should be an archaic concept by now anyway. IDC where you're from, then they don't have your best interests at heart to begin with. Life is short, and you've done some amazing things. Stay on that trajectory. I know this isn't ideal, but what if you just told them you got accepted? Start a career, and once you're graduated, you should be in a better place financially. Have they ever asked you for proof of being enrolled? You could always fake an acceptance letter and send it to them. Not ideal at all, but it may be worth trying. Sometimes lying is something we have to do for survival. DV victims do it for their safety. It could backfire spectacularly though, so just keep that in mind as well. I'm South Asian Pakistani American specifically. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees and married a great American man. My father is amazingly loving, supportive, and loves my husband and kids dearly. Now my father immigrated to America when he was in his 20s and married an American woman and had me. So he was already very open-minded. However, my mother ended up being terrible to both of us. After divorce, he remarried to a wonderful Pakistani woman. So a part of me was concerned he would give me a learn from my mistakes speech when I met my husband, but he did not. Before I met my husband, a part of me did low-key want an arranged marriage. I figured no man would love me like my father, so who better than him to pick who I spent my life with? Then of course I met my husband, and my perspective shifted. OP, I think if you're this fearful of your family, you either really need to sit down and have those conversations, or maybe walking away from them is what's best. I had to walk away from my mom and her entire side of the family because their abuse was just too much. Most of my dad's family still lives overseas, and he lives in a different state than me. So I'm largely alone outside of the little family I've created. Sometimes it sucks, like at Eid, for example, but I'd rather have a trickle of love than be flooded with pain. And side note, before any Americans jump in here saying my dad brainwashed me, he didn't. We had very few and far between supervised visits my entire childhood. Meanwhile, in the summer, if I spent too much time outside, my mom's family would strip me naked in the living room full of everyone, beat me, and yell at me about how disgusting my skin was and how I was too brown, that I was making it more obvious I didn't belong in their family, etc. At 10 years old, I was banned from swimming pools because I would get too brown. I did it, OP. I was you with multiple degrees, but before my last uni hopping, I was trapped and I was so fed up of it. I was like, let's get done with it. And of course, it didn't work out. And to escape that, I went on with my savings for another degree in another uni, LOL. Please don't be me. It's such a waste of time and energy. Also, don't do uni. Learn to stand up for yourself. Do what you want, travel, etc., or do nothing. Be you. What's our choices here? Stay in school. Is it a guarantee they will still continue to support you? That cloud will still hang over you, and eventually you still have to face it. Secure a job. Possibly lose parental financial support, but have freedom and independence. Marry a friend. Probably will make things worse than financial cutoff. Tell them the truth. See the reaction and go from there. I think you need to decide if you want to be taken care of for the rest of your life, or be your own person and figure it out on your own. I feel like the fear of losing your family is an excuse. You're not around them much now as it is. You're an adult and still worried about an arranged marriage? This story seems fake to me, unless that's a common thing where you're from. Likely OP is Pakistani, Bangladeshi, or Indian. These countries have high rates of arranged marriages, particularly to cousins or older men, or both. It is a very valid fear for OP to have, as she will be trapped in a marriage and unable to escape. Divorce isn't allowed, and many women will be killed to restore the honor of the family. OPGGR is resources in many universities and government private businesses about arranged or forced marriage. I advise.
Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes. Do not forget to watching other videos.